The city of Wichita, Kansas put into place an incentive program for landlords to accept Section 8 tenants by paying them $1,000 by guaranteeing their rent, promising to pay the unpaid rent of the tenants, and promising to take care of the damages caused by the tenants. And that program was actually successful. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's going over what one city, specifically Wichita, Kansas, did to incentivize landlords to accept more Section 8 tenants, right? Now, in my opinion, this is the kind of thing that's going to be absolutely necessary in order to make sure that, hey, we're putting these people in housing, where these people are getting housing, okay? If they want landlords to accept these tenants, they have to take the responsibility for the damage done by the tenants, for any unpaid rent for these tenants, and, give a little bit of cash bonus on top of that as well, because it's a lot more work for landlords. It's a lot more trouble for landlords. And when these local housing authorities, they don't want any responsibility for these awful tenants, well, it's a bad thing. It's a very, very bad thing. And it discourages a lot of landlords from wanting to participate. So, like I've mentioned many times before, one of the biggest gripes of landlords that I've talked to is the bureaucracy involved in the program and the inspections. Okay, those are the biggest things right there. Inspections and bureaucracy are enough to disincentivize a lot of the landlords from wanting to participate. Now, if you want to say, okay, we're going to force these landlords to take Section 8 tenants, like a lot of these cities are trying to do right now, then it seems to me that the local housing authority should be 100% responsible if that tenant decides to stop paying rent, if that tenant decides to trash your property. Okay, that's my opinion. You're forcing us to take these people even though we don't want to. Well, you should be liable. You should be liable for anything that we lose, and that's the only way that a lot of people are going to want to participate. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. So what kind of incentives do you think would help in getting more landlords to accept Section 8 tenants? And do you think that the ones that I just mentioned, do you think that's enough, or do you think there needs to be more? Okay, I'm just curious. Do you have Section 8 tenants? Or are they paying enough rent? Why, if you don't have them, why did you choose not to participate in these programs and rent to these sort of tenants? Okay, just curious what the other landlords have to say about the topic. But anyway, let's get into this article. This article is coming from kmuw.org, and it says, thousands on Wichita's wait list for housing vouchers after city closes the landlord incentive program. Yeah, the biggest problem with these incentive programs is they usually have just a certain amount of money. And when they run out of that money, program's done. Well, if they are truly serious about getting landlords to accept Section 8 tenants, then they need to continue to fund those programs, right? But then you start running into the same problem that all of these these socialist programs have, right? Eventually people stop, they get tired of paying for it. Why am I paying for someone else to live for free? That's what the taxpayers are asking themselves. They're paying a ton of money in taxes so that we got this huge line of people on this wait list so that they can live for free. But anyway, let's get into the article and see what it says. The city of Wichita started its landlord incentive program so more property owners would accept government rental assistance as a form of payment. The city has since increased the percent of people with vouchers who found housing. Hundreds of Wichita households struggled to find landlords who would accept their housing vouchers as payment in 2022. After the city of Wichita opened its landlord incentive program last January, the city increased the percent of people with vouchers who found housing. The vouchers, also known as Section 8, are a form of federal government rental assistance for low-income households. In 2022, 28% of people who were issued vouchers successfully signed leases. From January to October of 2023, that rose to 48%. Yeah, to me, that still sounds kind of like a failure to me. I mean, less than half of the people they issued vouchers to were actually able to find housing Okay, that still sounds like a failure, but it is an improvement from where they were before, where only about a quarter of the people who were issued these vouchers were able to find housing. So that tells you that, hey, there aren't a lot of landlords out there who are, wanting these tenants. But, it's not to say that is the sole issue, okay? If there is a housing shortage overall, if there's a shortage of affordable housing out there, then it's going to be hard for people, whether you have a voucher or not, to find a place. And that's the truth. So you end up in a situation where the houses or the units that are available for Section 8, they're already occupied by other Section 8 tenants. Then the landlords who don't need Section 8 tenants, because they have so many applicants out there who don't use vouchers, right? Well, if you're like me, you're going to choose the tenant without a voucher and with, who meets all my criteria way before you're going to choose the tenant with the voucher. So, these people are going to be pushed to the back of the line. So these incentive programs, if they're serious about them, they need to become permanent, or they need to make them even better, okay? Make them better. Give me a reason to want to rent to these people, okay? If you tell me, hey, we're going to give you a $1,000 bonus every 6 months for these tenants, hey, maybe I'll keep them tenants in my place. If you tell me that you're going to pay for all the damages that they cause, you're going to cover their rent if they decide not to pay, their portion, because usually Section 8 has the tenants pay a portion of the rent. So if you tell me that you're going to cover that, well then maybe I will consider it. This program has been successful in actually getting people housed, Mayor Brandon Whipple said in a news conference this fall. Since every voucher in the program has been utilized, the program is winding down and we're no longer accepting new or returning landlords to the program. Full utilization means the city has distributed all of its roughly 3,500 vouchers to prospective tenants. Now Wichita faces another challenge. Thousands are in line for a voucher with no answer on when they'll get one. The waiting list had 6,654 households as of December 7th, about half of which are in or around Sedgwick County. I've brought up before, the whole thing with the waiting lists on the vouchers, okay? Where I think it's a bunch of garbage. I think it's a bunch of garbage because you have people who sometimes are sitting on these waiting lists for years. Yeah, these people aren't homeless. Where are you living? If you can't afford housing, how exactly are you able to sit on this waiting list for years on end? So what it tells me, and this is my personal opinion, don't think that this is fact or, based on, some statistics I read anywhere, but my belief is that what we have people who are indeed lower income who do indeed qualify for this housing assistance, but don't truly need it. Okay? They don't need it because they have somewhere to live, they have somewhere affordable, they're able to make that rent, or they're able to, get by just fine for years on end. And the only thing we're doing is giving those people a free handout by giving them a voucher. That's what my opinion is. Okay? If you're sitting on a waiting list for 5 years, meanwhile, for that entire 5 years, you're living just fine in an apartment you're paying the full rent of, well, then you don't need a voucher now, do you? Give me a break. Some people are living in shelters while waiting to hear if they'll get a voucher. One of my big pet peeves about when people see us when we're homeless is that we're lazy. We don't do anything, said Tyler, who spent part of December at the Union Rescue Mission and asked to go by his first name only. He applied for a Section 8 voucher in August. For most of us that are trying to get out of this extreme situation and actually trying to find a place, it's a lot more hoops for us to jump through than it would be for somebody who's just looking for an apartment for the first time. Now, I'm not nice like a lot of other people are. I do think you're lazy, okay? And this is just a fact. I have seen people come from other countries illegally into the U.S., right? And find a job within a week, work their butt off, Sometimes they are living, three, four people in a single room, or maybe they're living in a room of a house, and and they're sleeping on a bed on one side of the room. There's somebody else sleeping in a bed on the other side of the room, and they're sharing a bathroom with people in other four bedrooms of that house, right? But they're able to get by. They're able to get by because they're willing to work. They're willing to work hard jobs. They're willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do. They don't have documentation. They don't have paperwork of any kind. The only thing they have is the clothes on their back, and they're able to get by. Yet here you are, you're given all these advantages. You have all of this social welfare, and meanwhile, you're like, hey, I need more. I need more. I need the government to pay for my housing as well. If you need the government to pay for your housing, then yes, you are lazy, okay? Now, don't think that I'm talking about those people who are elderly or disabled, because that's the kind of nonsense that, oh, well, what about, yeah, whatever, okay? A lot of the people who are homeless are dealing with mental health issues and with substance abuse issues. And then begging for free housing on top of that, give me a break. I don't want to pay for that. Okay, I don't want to pay so that you can have a free house while you are, dealing with your substance abuse issues. So, I'm on a rant. But anyway, like I said, I believe that the Section 8 program, it has big problems. I believe that more incentives are needed to make, landlords want to participate. Okay, I don't believe that laws should be put into place to force landlords to participate. And overall, I think there should be at most, Section 8 should be a temporary program to help people get back on their feet. Where, okay, temporarily, while you're getting back on your feet, we will give you some housing assistance, but there shouldn't be people sitting on housing assistance for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, okay? But that's what we're seeing in reality.